is the explanation of what man really is. Because today we are not thinking about who we are, what we are, and what is really happening. So man basically comprises out of a human body, but this human body is regulated by some aspects, the most important of those being the soul, the heart, and the brain. The brain is divided in two, left, right, and then you have a little pineal gland in the center of it, protected by the two lobes. Your heart, your feelings, your emotions, your brain is your mind with everything that goes with it. We'll go into that now. And the soul. You'll see the soul is empty. The heart is the biggest generator of electromagnetic energy. It can be measured in almost a vortex-like scale. Your brain was believed to be the biggest generator of the electromagnetic field, but it's in actual fact second in comparison to the heart. As we know from life, everything functions on electricity or some fuel source or something of another. So the heart is the most important with the most generation in it, and therefore in your body as you see it, the heart is more important than anything else. Now what is interesting is if you take life, how do we discern what we do in life? How do we do what we do in life? We do it by thinking, we do it by reasoning, by our programs, what we've learned, what we've been taught, everything that goes with that. So, the mind. The mind is reasoning, thoughts, ideas. And then the supposed spiritual state is the dreams. The dreams can be broken into your standard reaction dreams, like a rat would dream of running around a wheel when it goes to sleep. So we have standard dreams. We also have enlightened dreams, which is part of a subconscious structure of ours which observes more than what we are realizing. Apart from those dreams, there are also dreams which connect to a higher state, but we are not talking about that now. Visions. Visions are part of the higher state connecting to more things. So we're basically seeing that our mind is a rational principle. It uses and incorporates everything that is around us and calculates it with the programs that we have put into ourselves, with the schooling, with your parents, with your society, your structure and everything else. Now, all of this is spatial. Spatial means basically, this is a board, I'm standing here, I can touch it, I can feel it, yes. This spatial is linear, it's in a linear dimension. I cannot touch the board if I stand over here, my hand doesn't reach it. All of these things is awareness. So we are aware of the structure and everything around us because we see, we touch and we can hear. We can smell. Those are senses which we use to perceive whatever is around us. On the other side of the spectrum, you have the opposite. Rational, non-rational. Spatial, non-spatial. Linear, non-linear. Now, non-rational, what could that be? Mental cases. You find many people that are born with a mental deficiency, where they sit in a wheelchair or something. One of the most clever guys in the world at the moment, Stephen Hawkins, is a guy that is supposed to have a total mental disorder because he cannot talk. Yet he taps into so much more, and he can actually convey all this because he's not bound by the rational side of things. So one sees that there's a huge gap over there where those structures need to fit in. Spatial, non-spatial, the proper form would be astral travel or something like physical body shift, as you read in many of religious scriptures and things. People move from one place to another without physically walking to get there. That could be due to them operating on this side mostly, touching with the soul and with something out of it, but we'll get to this picture just now. So non-spatial, a simple form would be astral, where the person actually gets out of his spirit or his body and he can travel and go and see things. Non-linear, in other words, where time and space and everything matters. So non-linear, a good example is remote viewing. The guy can sit here and he can view whatever, and the sequence of events that he actually sees is not tied into the specific points of this here present time. He would see it unfolding in a different way. Now the ones that got trained by the military, for example, they got taught how to do it in a linear way because they wanted to create it into a tangible effect. But if you push it into the tangible side, you lose the connectedness, the awareness. Now, left and right. The one side is a rational mind, the other side is the part that connects with everything else, interconnectedness. And how do we know this? Well, there's many examples, again, in scriptures and everything, but most recently that brain surgeon in TED that had the stroke. What basically happened is a rational mind shut off. As soon as a rational mind shut off and this was out, she was interconnected with all the energy around her. This energy perception that she had, well, how would you prescribe it? She wouldn't see this board as a board. She would see it as energy, and it would be as if her arm is going through it. So it basically breaks down reality as we know it, because reality as we know it has been structured by our rational mind to perceive it in a specific way. So if this is broken down, your motoric function is limited because you cannot function in this world that we want to control. The physical aspect of it, which you will see is this little box I've put here. This is our physical plane. This is our box in which we operate. So if you take just this brief description of the mind, you see all the aspects within it. And if you think of our world, our earth, we function basically only on the mental capacity to work on the planet. And I mean, let's move on to the heart first before we get there. So the heart is feelings and emotions. Now, if this was the biggest focus point, it would have been good feelings and good emotions that would have mainly focused on. But because of the interference of the rational mind and the effects it's trying to produce to create tangible objects, to rule and control things, to be able to manipulate it. In short, it wants to rule everything and understand it and make it into a tangible form. Therefore, the feelings of the earth is greatly cut out. And because these feelings are cut out, they are no longer a main essential apart from our reasoning. We use it for reasoning. Love nowadays is based on reasoning. Thoughts nowadays based on reasoning. Feelings that affect our thoughts is how can I benefit from it? That is what we've been programmed with and where we're going. So it is no wonder that we don't have a soul connection. And I mean, if you think of the soul, there's no way that the rational mind can tangibly manifest it and say, right, I know what the soul is. I know what the spirit is. Because it cannot take it, so pull it out and hold it in its hand and go, okay, there's the soul. So we find proof of the soul only in religion. Religion of any kind, of some form of spiritual ascent, everlasting life, things happening in this reality which the rational mind cannot explain and which cannot fall in this category either, because it is beyond this and encompasses this entire little box here. But if you look at the modern box that we have our physical reality, and if we look at us sitting in this physical reality with only the mind being used, and you look at the earth and you look around you and you see the state of the earth, you see what has happened to man, how it's destroying the planet, how it's influencing each other with greed and everything else that goes with it, then you can clearly see that the rational mind is the only function that we are using to rule this planet. Because if we use the heart, which was the biggest generator of electromagnetic energy, then this planet would have looked much better than what we have currently. So let's go back here again. So we've got our heart. So why is the heart important? Without it you cannot care for anything else, because you will be mainly focused on yourself. So there is a little bit of this function still remaining, and those we call feelings and emotions. These feelings and emotions are nowadays repressed or buried or not worked with by pharmaceutical prescriptions, outside influences. Man has even learned with its rational mind, which is not even using his full mind. Remember, he's only using half of this, and then probably he's only seeing a millionth of the picture, but he is now trying to control and reprogram feelings and emotions with a little bit of reasoning that he has. Completely missing the interconnectedness and the harmony of everything else. So with this programming structure that's in place, once again you can see why the earth is in the state it is. And then there is still no soul aspect in it. People aim for the soul aspect, but they can't get to it, and they wonder why. It's because they're focusing on the mind, on the rational side, and then the ones that are semi-aware, that claim they got higher consciousness or they connect to the higher, they are only using a portion of their non-rational mind. Their feelings are slightly altered, and they have a bit of more positive emotions down here with which they can interact with those, but they're still missing the soul picture because they can't bring it out and make it a tangible aspect with their reasoning, so they cannot hold it in their hands, and therefore it's not a reality. So consider this. Here's your box. Everything that you are hearing that I'm telling you now is based on this little box. Everything that you think is real, everything that you perceive to be real, everything that you believe in is based solely on this box. And this box is our physical plane. So physical plane is stuck here. There are other planes of existence, higher and lower. But man says, no, this is the limit. So if we create this limit for ourselves, it's no wonder that we are being manipulated to the extent that we are currently feeling and experiencing on this planet. So let's go on to the soul aspect. So the soul aspect, it's not flesh. Remember, that's flesh. Flesh can be manipulated. These are electromagnetic energy generators, both the heart and the mind. So any electromagnetic influence, we're not even talking about thoughts, we don't even go in as far as that, because thoughts are also just EMF fields being pushed up. How do we know this? We can look at some of the more recent research where your feelings would in fact affect your DNA, whereas sick DNA is sort of shrunken a little bit. If you put positive feelings on it, it would actually expand and become healthy, become more in flow with the energy. For that, the person is obviously using some reasons, some thoughts, so he's using a part of his rational mind to manipulate his heart and his feelings, which he is pushing up. Now if we take the flesh part, there's a spirit part, and the spirit part is the soul, and that's what is missing out of the entire picture.